So I'm not going to keep you on a long time with the slides. What I want to get to really is is our video that I have. Really, that's going to be some of the stuff that's going to make a difference for you guys and let you be able to learn some things. So as you can see, defensive line pass rush stuff. I'm really excited to do this. Last year, Dave and the Thunder had me out to do the second last in-person session. And then, our current situation with COVID kind of hit, and we ended up moving to the online piece. And, I think this has really just expanded all the coaching knowledge within our province, and we continue to work hard. And, I've been a huge proponent of this program and of the 3 phases, and really enjoy being able to talk football with people across the province and across Canada, to be very honest with you. So what I'm going to talk about today is defensive line pass rush. Again, my number is at the bottom and my email. I love talking football. I'm sure as many of you know, I'll talk football all day and all night with you. So if you want to go through film, if you want to just chat, if you want some some support in any way, please reach out to me. I'm more than willing to do that. And I always say that I was fortunate enough to have some really good leaders throughout my football career, and continue to as I move forward and become one of those old guys. So I'll try not to take too long with these slides, but again, there is some pieces to it, I think, there's some value. So in any of my presentations, I've always kind of just put a bit of a quote at the start, and I think this one from Simeon Rice, defensive end from the Chargers in their past Super Bowl, not their current Super Bowl winning season. But I think he really sums up the pass rush specialty now, because really it is a specialty. You can't just throw somebody out there just to be able to do it. You have to be specialized in this. But for me, it's not about sacking the quarterback. It's about changing the course of the game, causing a crucial fumble at a crucial time, and making a tackle for a loss when the opposing team needs to gain 1 or 2 yards for the first down. And again, Simeon Rice said that. And I really think that has a lot of bearing on how we want to teach pass rush now, because pass rush now really isn't just getting after the quarterback. It's also disrupting the quarterback play and disrupting other plays and doing that sort of thing. So I always like having, what to look for in a defensive lineman. I think that we all should probably have that type of piece that we look at every time in regards to what do you really want in a defensive lineman? I really think that mental toughness is a big piece for a defensive lineman, because you have to be able to get in every play that you're in on the line of scrimmage, and you have to be able to hit somebody. Some people just don't like to hit, and that's just the bottom line. As a defensive lineman, you need to be able to hit. You need to be able to get hit, and get back up and hit the other guy right back in the face. That's where the physical toughness comes in. Again, we need that to be all controlled physical toughness. We don't need guys taking foolish penalties. And, we've really worked through that over the last 3-4 years with the Rams. Is we're getting away from that type of player. We're getting to that physically, mentally tough player that can manage through these tough pieces. And as well, again, when I talked about that mental toughness, that's huge. Outstanding work ethic. In the past, we look at some of those defensive linemen, and I know in a lot in the high school setting where you have this big guy that can fill a spot and you throw him in there. That's kind of changed a little bit with all the different schemes that teams run now on the defensive line. And, we need to have that work ethic and have that athletic type of body in there. And you look at some of our guys that we have, they may look a little bit bigger and sloppy, but man, they move real well for big guys. Being disciplined. I think being disciplined, I kind of touched on that a little bit as well too. When you're in the trenches and guys are pinching and prodding and kicking and spitting, and some words are said between each other, we have to be able to work through that, not take those penalties. So we really want to be disciplined. We want to be able to be disciplined by not taking foolish offsides. In the past, I've coached the under 18 team for a lot of years. And, that's something that we struggle with at the high school level is discipline with guys taking penalties, just not being able to focus. As I've kind of mentioned as well too, with the technician part, learning how to be a defensive lineman is tough. Before they always said, okay, to be a running back coach and a defensive line coach is the 2 easiest areas. But really, I think both areas now have changed so much. And now we really have the specific type of athletes that we want, the body mold and the type of people that we want to be put in those positions. I put aggressive, emotional, and confident because I try to emulate some of the people that I've coached with, and always want to have an aggressive style of person in there. I think aggression, be it controlled, is great for a defensive lineman. Being emotional is part of the game, so I think we need lots of emotional players. Again, that has to be very controlled and confident. Confidence breeds, and that's what we need. We need people that are going to be confident in every play and be prepared to win every down. Something I always put in as well too is a pre-snap read. I really think as a defensive lineman, we have to understand the pre-snap read. We have to understand the situation. We have to be smart with the down and distance, especially when it comes to pass rush types situations. We understand, especially in the Canadian game, that the ball can be thrown at any time. But again, if we're seeing second down and 6+, we're probably going to see a pass, so we can pin our ears back a little bit, really work on those really strong first two steps and get after our offensive player that we're going against. Again, same thing with time and score. End of the half, maybe they need a big play towards the end of the game, up by a certain amount. Again, that's when we get to pin our ears back and get after the quarterback and really pressure him. The stance of the offensive lineman has changed a lot. This is a great example. This picture I have here, we see the Husky offensive line. A lot of them that tight 2-point stance with their hands up. That's just so they don't give away any tells, and they're able to get their hands on you quicker. So us as offensive linemen or defensive linemen now, what we have to do is we have to look at those stances, and we have to be able to read those knees and elbows and hands, and really focus on those different body parts as our key point to look at. And again, the eyes of the offensive lineman. Lots of guys wear visors and stuff now, and I don't know if it's so much of a giveaway as it was years ago. These guys are getting much better. They're so well coached in youth sport and junior football, and even at the high school level now. They're not giving those tells as much as they used to, but sometimes you're still going to get that offensive lineman looking through that defender, and we have to recognize that and be able to work through that as well too. Hand pressure, you always look at the Rudiger story, and look at the hand pressure. We still get that in some aspects in some players throughout Canada West. We look at some of the players that we go against. They're going to put a little bit more weight in their hand if they're doing a certain, if they're going to do a quick step, or if they're going to drop, or if they're going to pull. Those types of things, we may see that different. But so much in pass rush now, we're seeing guys in that 2-point stance and really getting their hands up quickly. Personnel formations is going to tell us a lot about what's going to happen if we see a double tight. And a 2-receiver set from there, or we see a heavy backfield. We know that there's potential for running, but again, those formations now have changed so much with the RPO game that we have to be ready for anything at any time, especially with the run pass option, because again, with that, there's the option to pass the ball, there's the option to run the ball, and we have to be able to recognize and read that really quickly as well. The last point I have here is the scan, predict, and react. I think that's just something that's the quick line that you can tell your defensive linemen when they get up to the line of scrimmage. We want to scan to see what everything is. We want to predict it by the down and distance, the time, the score, and we want to react to what they do. We want to react to if it's a run block or a pass block. So when I decided to do the pass rush breakdown, this is just something that I kind of look at in 10 things that we want to be able to do as a good defensive lineman. Again, there's pass rushes from the interior and the exterior. And one of the things I think, number one, is we have to know our opponent. We have to be able to recognize what our opponent does well, what they don't do well, and take advantage of those as well. The anticipation of our pass situation, as we kind of just went over, down and distance in the game, what the team that you're playing, what's some of their trends that they do. To get off the stance, the read key, and the alignment, those are key. Our stance is something that we practice. I'll show you that in when we get to the film part. We have to practice stance every day, and you know what it is? We're racing against the guy beside us because we want to beat him every time. One thing that some guys struggle with, and they say, let's just get out there and do it. I think we need a plan. We have to have a plan in place when we're rushing the quarterback because, again, different situations. If we're stunting, if we're getting a different set by the offensive lineman, we have to have a plan to be able to counter that, to be able to take advantage of that as well. And our initial move has to be set up with something. When you look at our initial move, maybe if you're great at the arm under or great at the arm over, that's something that you want to try. But again, typically the offensive lineman is going to scout you as well as you scout them. So they're going to have that ready. And I'll show you some of that in some of the film that we have where we're doing some one-on-ones against our own guys. And, they're scouting us and we understand that maybe we shouldn't be doing that move at this time. Our counters are big. That's something that we're working on more and more. And we talk about it a lot. So we have to be able to counter out of an arm under when we're stopped to an arm over. We have to counter. If we're going to spin, we have to be able to counter back with a hezzy spin. And look at always having a counter to our initial move. That's the biggest place that we struggle sometimes right now is we get what I call is being framed up with our opponent, and we don't counter quick enough in that. Our feet, again, we talk in football, you have dead feet, you're dead in the water. Those are some of the terms that I use. I think our guys understand that now. We want to keep our feet moving and we want to keep our feet going vertical, as you'll hear me reference lots. Leverage to the quarterback, that's something that we need to do better at as well too. And I think that's just something that everybody needs to do better. When we're leveraging the quarterback, we're going to focus on body parts of the quarterback that we understand that our rush end is going to focus on the ear to his side. Our end's going to focus to the ear on his side of the quarterback. And our nose tackle, if we're in a 3, is going to focus on the nose of the quarterback. So we can leverage him to different areas of the field. Our match hand is something that we've been working on the last couple of years. So we're matching our hand to the quarterback's hand. I have a picture of it up here, and I'll show you guys some video of it as well too. For us to be able to match our hand, that's going to create the quarterback. That's going to create some problems for him, as it's going to take away his sight view, his line, cause a little disturbance with his passing when his rhythm. And then responding to the ball. The biggest thing is if we get a turnover, we want to be able to respond to the ball. We get a knockdown, we get a tip. We want to be there to be able to grab that ball and go and score or get on it. And I have some video to show that as well too. All right, so I kind of have some pictures of some generational pass rushers. I think Khalil Mack's one of those generational pass rushers in the NFL. As rushing the quarterback, he is one of the best. And he does it week in and week out and year in and year out. And I really think that he is kind of one of those guys, and there's a few more pictures I have on here of guys that are similar to him that are really the difference makers now. They're the big money men in the leagues. And if you look at it in our conference, the teams that are successful, and we're sure getting there as well too with our guys. But you look at, for example, Nick Daly from the Huskies, great rushing the passer, former Ram as well. But we have that ability as well too on the Rams to be able to do that, and we need to be able to make these dominant pass rushers game changers. Really the ability to rush the passer is essential for a successful defense, and we see that at any level. At the minor level, if you have a strong defense and they're trying to throw the ball, it's going to be a great opportunity for us to rush the passer. In the high school level, I look at Miller when they were great a couple years ago, and they had some great pass rushers, and we were fortunate enough to get Michael Clow. As a young guy, he was a fantastic and still is, and getting better as a pass rusher. And he made that defense that much better where they were able to get after the quarterback. We look at our U18 team a couple years ago. We had Reese Cack and Carter Chevelle, great pass rushers, a little bit undersized, but it made our defense that much better. Two guys that we really talked about lots, and you'll see lots of pictures of him here is Eric Wachowski. He's a great pass rusher too. We feel like he was one of the best we've seen in a long time here. But pass rushing must be a mindset. As I kind of mentioned earlier, to be successful, you must be able to explode off the line of scrimmage while being able to attack a third of the offensive player with a great active hands and feet while still focusing and pressuring and sacking the quarterback. Really, I think the big change now in pressuring the quarterback and sacking the quarterback is we just want to be able to get those pressures and force errant throws and force bad decisions by the quarterbacks. And I'll have some video of that moving forward. Again, another generational guy, Von Miller. I'm sure the guys that know that I'm a huge Broncos fan are probably giggling right now and snickering. But he is a generational pass rusher. And again, he made a difference in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. But again, he's developed a really solid base of fundamental moves. And I think these are the guys that we need to emulate with our young guys. Is if these guys can practice every day and do what we ask of them every day, there's no reason why somebody at the U Sport level, junior level, high school level, minor level can't do that as well too. And they just don't go practice the arm under, the arm over, or the bull rush. They're going to get that complete toolbox of different moves and really work towards perfecting all of those pieces as well. So some of the objectives of the pass rush, and you see Akeem Hicks, former Ram here, he's a great interior pass rusher as well too. A big man, presses the pocket real quick. And some of the things that we see from these types of players, we're going to see them force the quarterback to throw really with only one read. It's going to be quick. That's what we want. We want the quarterback to be throwing quick. For a great example, when Noah was around, teams couldn't get to him because he got that ball out quick, and it was in and it was out. And O'Connor, same thing, gets the ball out quick. So that's where we had to change up some different pass rush lanes and pass rush styles against these types of players. So in Noah's case, we would want to have to restrict his vision. We'd want to get hands and bodies in his way. Same thing with O'Connor. We would want to get hands up. We want to be able to take away those windows, and we want to be able to disrupt their passing lanes. Getting hits and pressures. Again, it's not, as I talked about earlier, it's not all about sacks. It's about hits and pressures. We want to be able to make that quarterback understand that we're going to be coming with our ears pinned back in every passing opportunity. And we want to either get a hit or hurry on him. And we're going to pressure him, and he's going to feel it. And he's going to feel that pressure every time. That's what we want to gauge on this. And ultimately, the sack's great. We want to get the sack. With that, we want to get a forced fumble, the sack fumble, get the trifecta, sack fumble, and touchdown. And we want to manufacture interceptions for our back end. If we can pressure with our front end and be successful, that's going to manufacture interceptions for our second level and our third level. And also, I talk about leveraging the quarterback as well. So some things that we always have to do when we're rushing the quarterback, we have to have a plan. I talked about that. I know some guys just say, we just got to let the pass rushers be pass rushers. I don't feel that way. I feel like we have to plan for our opponent. Same thing as we do in a defensive, our scheme for a week versus an offense. We have to plan for every pass opportunity that we're going to get. And we have to understand what we're doing and that opponent that we're facing. Once we have that plan, we have to develop that plan throughout the week. And I'll show you guys kind of some of the drills that we'll do for that as well too. So I've had the opportunity to coach with a lot of great offensive line coach. I get to coach with Coach Sheldon Neild at the U of R, and he's just an absolute great offensive line coach. And I've coached with Coach Travis Cirque too, so two of the best. So some of the things I know that some of the terms that you'll hear is something that maybe I've stole from them, and they're saying, hey, that defensive lineman's, I know Cirque's big on that defensive lineman's discoing. And really what that means is they're dancing. They're not getting vertical up the field. So the big thing is we don't want to disco. We don't want to hesitate. We want to get vertical. We preach getting vertical up the field on every opportunity we get to rush the passer. The big thing that was a lot of talk about before was attacking a half of the man. So what we've gone away from that. We're attacking a third now. There's no reason for us, and I always use the analogy of why would I go against 300 when I go against 150? And that's a half. Okay, so why wouldn't I want to take on 100 rather than 150? So that's kind of what we focus on. Our aiming points are a little bit different in some different passing situations, and I can go over those more in film, and it doesn't do any justice for me to talk about them right now. But I can show you what we're teaching our guys right there through the film. And we talk about never letting the offensive line get our hands, because typically when their hands are on us, we're dead in the water. We're in trouble because they are usually, for a lot of cases, a bigger body, longer arm type frame with more back end weight, for lack of a better term. And they're going to sit down, they're going to hold on to us, and then that's where we have to be able to hand fight and get their hands off of us. I mentioned it earlier about creating a toolbox of good moves, and I think it's just creating that toolbox. And if we create that toolbox and continue to learn, because man, none of us know it all by any means. We just try to teach our guys what we can, get them better, add to their toolbox. Myself as a coach, I want to add to my toolbox and what I can teach this group as well too. So every opportunity I get, man, I'm surfing the internet, and I'm all over different sites looking at coaching and trying to learn from some of those guys. Larry Johnson from Ohio State he just does nothing but pump pass rushers out. Those are the guys I want to learn from, and we want to be able to get better as well. And I mentioned becoming a great hand fighter. I'll give Coach Nesbitt all the praise in the world in regards to his hand fighting as a defensive line coach. He taught it. He's taught it like nobody else has throughout the years, and continued to put guys out. And he was put Steph Charles and Akeem Hicks out into the NFL. So I give him all the credit in the world. And he taught a lot of hand fighting. And I think something that our veteran guys have right now is that great base that they're giving now to that younger group of guys. So what we need to do now as a defensive line is we need to get better at our get-offs, our takeoffs, our little things, become those tacticians where that hand fighting is going to happen. So as I mentioned about knowing your opponent, especially through COVID, we've had some time to meet with our players continuously, and with film study and doing it by themselves and with groups and sending out study sheets for game day and understanding our tells and stance. But something I did is I broke down all the starting offensive linemen in Canada West and put them in personnel groups for our guys to break down. This was something to keep them engaged and force them to watch some film on some of these guys, because typically they're watching film the day before, the week before the game, getting ready for our opponent, with our cut-ups that we've sent out to them, or however we're doing this. Now we challenge them to watch the entire season of games and break this down. And it wasn't anything, out of the ordinary that we wanted them to break down. We wanted them to break down their stance. We wanted them to be able to say, okay, Packer has a bit of a high stance in the run. He's lower in the pass. He's gonna drop step quick to the right, slow to the left, those types of things. His hand placement's low, hand placement's high in the run or the pass. Where is it? And again, the visual cues, something that I refer to lots are the knees, because the knees are going to take you to where that offensive lineman's going to go. But the visual cues, is he a leaner? Is his butt in the air? Is he sitting in that deep squat stance in the pass? Does he open different in different situations? And again, I wanted them to grade these players with a legitimate grade after watching all these. And, grading them as 1 being average. And, I don't think any of these guys in this offensive line are average, but 5 being all Canadian CFL prospects. And again, you look at the possibility of the 5s on this line, and, we did the Huskies and we did all Canada West teams. And, I think this is very helpful, and you can do this at any age level. I think this would be beneficial at high school, because you can always find a picture of a guy through, or get the statistics of a guy, throw it up there and just have these guys watch some film. All high schools from every level, from 6-man, 9-man, 12-man, are using different video apps now for game film. I think it's something you need to put on these guys, and yourself as coaches too, to be able to get better and help teach them how to become great at film study. So knowing your opponent's one of the big things for me. We have to understand everything that they're going to do, and we have to be more prepared than they are come game time. So our stance, we kind of work in 2 different stances for our pass rush. So we run out of a balanced stance. As you can see, that's what Garth's in right here. Oops. Sorry, my mouse is, there we go. Okay. As you can see, Garth's more of in a balanced stance, where Brandon McKimmon, our rush end's more of in a jet stance. So our jet stance, we're putting more weight on our hands. We're getting our butt more in the air. We're more of a dynamic sprinter style, getting off the ball and getting vertical up the field as quickly as possible. Now with Garth playing interior as a 0 or 1 here, he's more of a balanced stance, because typically he's going to get that double here. So he's going to have to be able to work through 2 offensive linemen and be able to manage getting off 1 and then working to 2. With that jet stance in the middle, he typically will then get gapped or faced or framed, working in that jet stance. So we're really working in that jet stance out of our end positions. Again, we do work out of the 2-point. We allow our guys to play out of the 4-point. Some guys can do it, some guys can't. Again, our 4 points are always a little bit different. We really want to get that tail up in the air. We want to get that weight on those in the hands, and we want to be able to get vertical as quick as we can off the edge. Kind of some of the pieces that we work on are the vertical movements, focusing on the first 3 steps. So we always talk about our first step to our power step. Our second step is to the hip, and our third step is to clear. That's in a perfect world if we're going against somebody that's standing still. But that's kind of the vision that we want, and that's kind of our aiming points that we're looking at every time. Is we want our first step to be the power, second step to be at the hip, and then third to clear. So our alignment, we always talk about this, and with a lot of pictures of Eric on here, but he was one of those guys that we would allow a little bit of freedom in his alignment to be, because we always want our guys to align to win. We struggle sometimes with our guys getting stuck inside, and I talk about being framed, and that's really where you're looking at the frame of the body and you can't get out of it. Um, what we want is we want to allow our guys to be able to move around a bit. We want to start them in a a 5 eye and move them to wide 7. We want to be able to let these guys move a little bit, but again, we can only give them so much freedom and for them to be successful. I have a couple clips of some guys getting framed up, and it'll explain a little bit more. But we really want to be able to allow our defensive linemen and our pass rush especially to have a little bit of freedom in how they align. So the edge pass rush and the interior pass rush, you kind of look at it a little bit different. Really, the set points for the edge are a little bit different because you're typically going against an offensive tackle or a tight end. And some of the terms that we'll use is we'll see a wide gate where they'll take a wide first step and then really open that gate. We'll see a deep set. We'll see we won't see a lot of quick sets off the tackles, but typically we'll see a deep set or a wide gate. That's what we're going to see, and difference if there's and different if they're sliding as well too, or if they're zoning away or two. So those are some of the things that we're going to see. The pass rush moves from the edge that we're really working towards are our club rip, our club jab, our chop, our speed dip, and we see a lot of that now. I believe that we have a good video of a speed dip, and the long arm really is kind of instrumental in a lot of what we do from there. And I have some practice video of long arm and the spin. We have Matt Morris, that guy. He does lots of spinning, but we're sure working on that, and he's getting better. Our pass rush lanes for that too are typically, there's a two-way go for the most part. We're stunting inside or spiking inside, or we're going and maintaining the outside leverage. With our interior pass rush, again, we're working through the guards and the centers. The center and the guards, and our set points are interior. Sometimes we see a lot of quick sets because we want to see the offensive linemen want to get their hands on us real quick on the interior because we move a lot with our defense, as well as we're going to see a lot of doubles and a lot of tight splits. With Coach Gray's defense and how much we move, sometimes they have to tighten up because we have guys coming from everywhere, and it spins their head sometimes. So for them to tighten up allows them to be able to help in their blocking schemes. Again, I think we do a great job with our interior, with our bull rush. Again, you can't live with the bull rush, but boy, we can use the push pull off that. We have the hump, or the Reggie White, as a lot of guys want to call it, the power arm over, the power arm under, or the quick, and we'll see that as well too. The long arm, we've tried a little bit in the interior. Sometimes, I guess the positive thing for us is we have some vertically challenged interior defensive linemen, but they are fire hydrants and able to use that long arm to leverage the offensive linemen when they play against them. So pass rush counters, again, we have the man here, Aaron Donald. Counters are needed to be utilized as soon as initial move is unsuccessful. We work our counter stuff now every day at practice because we need to get better at that. For example, a quick transition from an arm under or a rip to an arm over can be real successful. It's just a quick transition. Under 1-2 step and then over. And the D line, they must practice these in varied situations. So a lot of times we'll do it where they're stopped and then they're deep into that arm under and then have to come over with that arm over. Leverage the quarterback. Again, edge players leverage, as I mentioned, are going to leverage to the ears in most cases. Our interior players are going to leverage to the eyes. This will change again if we're stunting in the front. And I would suggest for a lot of the coaches at the younger level to just have those landmarks. So the quarterback's ears, where you have to go. It's always that talk about, let's look at that shoulder, outside shoulder. Let's look at the chin. But again, keep it consistent. Just use the same verbiage all the time. But have those landmarks. It's a lot easier to say when they lose contain or lose leverage, you weren't leveraging the ear there. And then they understand, no, I'm not. So as I mentioned, Aaron Donald's a stud. Matching hand to the quarterback, this is something that we want. So we want to match our hand to the quarterback's throwing hand, and we want to finish matching to that throwing arm. As you can see here, he's going to come down. The quarterback doesn't know he's in his vision. and he's in his lane right here. So it's going to allow the rusher the ability to foggy the sight line of the quarterback. So he's going to have to really get the ball off quick, or he's going to make a bad decision, and it will help allow for momentum in the follow through to the finish. So we're going to swipe, we're going to come through, hand up, and then, typically we may come across the shoulder pads, staying away from the face and making that tackle, hopefully. And the big one is, something that when I was younger coaching and didn't really figure this into the pass rush stuff, was really responding to the ball. This is Brandon McKimmon having a pick six here as a defensive lineman. Kind of fell into his hands, but he responded to the ball and scored. Our rusher, interior, exterior, must respond to the ball. If throwing, it's got to turn and pursue. If it's on the ground or knocked down, you have to hit it. If it hits the ground, in a strip sack event, you locate it, you recover it, and you get on it, and there's the turnover that we're talking about. Okay, now we're going to go with some film. So I have some practice drills, some one-on-one film, and some game film. Any questions so far? I know I was trying to whip through that so we can get to the good stuff. But if you have any questions, please feel free. If not, it's all good. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that. And I'm going to get to some film here. All right. So as I kind of talked about our stance and takeoff, this is something that we do every day. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of some things that you can do for your stance and takeoff. We always put a bag down as it's something just for our feet to be able to get over top and get through and just take that proper first step. So as you can see here, our guys are lined up. We're not too concerned about which hand they have down. Right now, it's just a matter of getting off the ball. So we're talking here, we're going through some different steps that we're going to take. Now we're getting off the ball, we're getting upfield. We're getting upfield and we're working as hard as we can. One thing we got to really focus on is we want to focus on our initial hand placement. We want to get our hand. So Michael Cloud does a good job right here. On the boundary side, he's getting his hands up, getting it on the defender. Our interior guys are kind of looking a little bit lost, but the edge guys are doing a good job. Okay, getting upfield, now we're working. Now they should be going around the drill, not through the drill. It drives me nuts. I want to throw a football at them. But it's all good. We're getting up the field. Now we're seeing a bit of a different stance from our interior player right here. He's in more of that jet stance, as well as our boundary end or our end are both in that jet stance with our tails up and getting off the ball. Now we see how quick they get off the ball. Again, they're taking that 45-degree step. But what's happening with our nose is he getting off the ball, and look how low he's getting, and he's extending through that. Boom, he's got his aiming point, he's getting up the field, and he's working through that. Simple drill. You can put anything you need in front of you, hurdles, whatever you have. But again, it's just working stance and takeoff. This is something you can work every day, because you have to practice it, because in a game, you do it every play. And again, finishing with some type of maneuver, something to be able to move and work through that. All right. Here we go. Same thing. Again, now, our guys kind of get a little bit impatient because we run through this with so many different steps. But the thing about when we're doing our pass rushes, we will change up our different gap responsibilities or our different step. Potentially, one time what we'll do is we'll step to our gap. Okay, or the next time we'll step to the man. It's all going to be varied against who we're going against. So we see our boundary our boundary end. Okay, he's stepping to the gap with his first step. Okay, you see his gap foot first. Boom. Okay, that's the step into the gap. That's what we want to be able to work on in different scenarios. Our interior guy. Okay, he on the tackle side. Again, he's stepping over the bag. He's stepping to the gap as well, too, and getting vertical up the field. Those are something that we do pretty consistent and continue to work through this every day. Every day. Feel like it's one of those things we can do every day to get better. Okay, I think you guys have the gist of this. I will. All right. So, drills. So something simple for pass rush. Okay. And we did a lot of this when we were able, this is pre-COVID. We were able to work on a lot of stuff off of our knee. So we would start from one knee, as we can see there. Okay. And all we would do is work up and work on exploding through the hip and ripping. So we explode through that hip, rip. And now what we want to do is we want to be able to wrap that corner a lot tighter and then finish with that matching to that hand. Again, this is the first time we did that. It got better as we progressed, but it was a slow learning curve for a little bit. You know, guys were practicing it, but we want to be able to work through that. Arm under to the sky. Okay, we're really getting that hand, clearing that hand, and working through that. Again, very simple motions, very explosive, boom, and finish. Okay, correcting them. You don't want to see me correct them. Okay. Again, working under, just telling him we got to work through that. Now we have we get a good rep here. Sorry, it's kind of lagging on me here. There you go. Maybe not. There you go. Through, quick, arm through. I'll just let it play. Quick, arm across. We want to get that hand up. Now the big man does a pretty good job. Tight. Nice job getting those hips clear and running that tight edge. Okay. This dude's 6'6", 300 pounds at this time. He does a great job. What we have to work with him on, though, is what I call he plays outside of his cylinder too much. We want to play him more tighter with some of his movements. But again, he's a beast. You see how quickly he turns that edge for a big man. Again, that's the first-year guy. Cam cross, you know, he has to get his hands up. Michael does a better job. He's got to get that hand to match. Again, depth touch. And then the big man again. Boom, quick. Love it. Gets his hand up. He's disrupting it. That's helping him get around that corner too. Okay. Now we see again, quick. Now we're running down the line. Now we're running down the line. Easy to change it up. Now we turn this into a bit of a pursuit drill. You get down there, bang. We're pursuing down there. Okay, keeping the quarterback where he needs to be. Get down the line, get used to turning that tight, and then coming tight down the line. Again, coach, to get out of the way. Tight down the line. Now, always giving them a bit of a landmark to be able to go to is something that a lot of guys need at different levels, and I think even at the college level, they sure need those landmarks. It helps them out quite a bit as well, too. All right. Boom. Now he's got to go. There we go. Boom. There we go. Okay. Big man again. Bang. Go and explode. You see that explosion? That's what we want. We work so much on that finish part. What we don't want to do is what the last guy did is load. We want to bring everything right from our hip. Bang. Quick. Okay. And move that up. All right. Now this next drill. So this is something that we just started doing. We always did a lot of hand work. But what we didn't do is we didn't do violent hand work. Okay, so what this is now is he's supposed to be coming at you as fast as the first time we've done this as well too. He's supposed to be coming with you as quick as he can. Bang, 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 bang. Okay, kind of like we're in a fight and we got to get those hands off. We want to be buzzing our feet and we want to be getting our hands side to side. Quick, it's clear, clear. Clearing those hands consistently. Clearing those hands. Coming, finishing with the move. Okay, we're clear, clear, clear. Again, we want to be under control in all of our movements. We don't want to be out of control in any of the movements, but we want to be under control in everything that we do. All right. Young guy, you know, does a decent job. Again, he's got some work to do. We see up top, Matt Moore did a pretty good job. Hands. Now Cam's not used to this, right? Cam's trying to use single hands. We want to go like that. You know, this guy does a pretty good job. Again, now that's what Garth's doing a good job as our opponent though too. He's getting his hands up and forcing our defender to get those hands off as quick as they can. All right. Move on to the next one. This is where we get to see some good video here. Okay, now watch up here, the big man again. Watch how violent he is with his movements. Boom, 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 boom. and now off and under. Okay, that's what we want to see. We want to see that. We want to see violence. Bang, 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 bang. Ripping under. Okay, arm and over. Now we're seeing the big man again up here. Quick. Okay, that's a big man moving quick. He's looking after himself, looking after half the man, a third of the man, and getting through that. I feel like we got the gist of that. We'll move on to our next one. We went through this. All right, so this is something that we try to do with our interior guys a little bit for our pass rush stuff, is we're trying to make them work through the mess in the ground, because as we know, with those interior guys, they're always going to be there's going to be guys in the ground, they're going to be used to it. We want to be able to work vertical through everything, so we're working vertical through this with a finish to an arm under. Again, one thing we haven't been great on with our interior guys is really leaning through that arm under and finishing. So with this drill, this is forcing them to really lean through this. And we'll see this with Tanner as well here too. Now his feet aren't great. We'll work through that. But now, again, we really want to lean on that to finish. Leaper does a pretty good job here. Again, we could do that a little farther down the field, but we really want to be tight on that and then finish, as I was showing there, matching hand to hand. So we see Leaper, young guy, working, boom, finishing to finish. Not bad. Again, working through that interior pass rush. Now we see Garth quicker, bang, through. That's better. Better lean. Now we just have to get him to clear at that hand. Tanner does a better job here as well. Now he's off the ball quick, giving him that look. And now it's lean. Again, we want to be able to work through that. And he has to bring his foot through there rather than taking kind of those fall steps where he's tight. Okay. We want him to really work that foot now, right here. We want him to finish there. Okay. So again, you can do this with a body standing there. We could have done this with this injured guy. There's several different ways that we can do this. Okay. It's just a good drill for the interior guys to be able to work through this. All right. As I mentioned earlier, so just something from camp from a couple years ago, you know, we have a bit of a station set up where we're working. If we just look at the bottom one right now, all we're doing is we're wrapping on those dummies, okay, on the pop-ups. We're ripping, we're wrapping, ripping, wrapping, just getting used to leaning. Again, this is a young group at the time working through that. Ripping and leaning, tight, tight, tight. Again, working on our feet, working on our hands. 98 does a pretty good job. Okay, good, 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 good to finish. Okay. Again, the young guy, Josh Howe, he was pretty raw, but he's a bit of a bull in a china shop. He's getting better at that. Up top here now is 97. It's Hirschmiller. Again, pretty good typically. Hands. He's got to work at really getting those hands through. Now, if we look at the top, we go back to the top here. I'll rewind it a bit, and we see what Greg's doing with these guys. Now, what we're doing is getting hands off, arm under, arm over, different things with a spin at the end. Simple drill to set up with your defensive lineman for pass rush stuff. Just flashing, finishing with a move. That's all it is. It's simple. It's there's lots of space. You know, I know that we're not all fortunate enough to have 14 or 15 guys, but you can do this drill incorporated with any of these other drills as well too. All right, I apologize for these guys and their shirts or lack thereof, but this is really that work that we were talking about prior to COVID, that we were working to work that edge and explode through those with those hips and feet, and then finish with that match with that hand. So boom, right there. Again, ride the edge tight. You don't need anything special. All we need is we need to get off the ball, and we need to really get used to powering through. And that's why we're doing this off of one knee. You know, we progress to a 2-point, to a 3-point, to a 4-point. But I feel right now that for us to work through this, that's going to help. You can see a lot of these guys that have been around a long time don't do a great job. Okay, young guy going, another young guy going. As I said, I apologize for the shirtless guys. It was pretty hot in there that day, but again, we talk about the coach getting in the way, I guess. But again, this is the young guy, Braden Walls here. He's going to be pretty special already. So we see him get off the ball, but we see how he's got to work, right? He's got to work to stay low. He's got to work to stay low. So again, as I mentioned, lots of different options that you can do with very little equipment. You can get a can of spray paint and spray paint half a hoop on your grass field to work through that. Again, we go the other way. We start the other way here on the movement of the foot. And again, this is just changing up the direction that we're going so we get good at this at both sides, because this is a change for these guys, right? They're used to being active out of a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Now we're forcing them to use their hip power. And we really feel like this is going to help in the long run. Again, we see some of the older guys doing a good job with this. But yeah, those are some of the drills I thought that might benefit you guys. Hopefully they are something that you need. If you ever need any drills, I have a whole drill library, man. I'll send you what I got, and we can work there. 101s. Okay, so we have Garth playing, looks like some rush or some end. Again, what he's doing here is he's just wanting to get off the ball. We're seeing him. Sorry, he's playing some tackle. That's my mistake. And how he's lined up. We look at how he's lined up. He's lined up for success. He's not framed right across that guy. He's more in the gap, right? Rather than being framed right there. So he's off the ball quick, boom. He's got his hands on, and now he's working to get his hands off. Darn clips go pretty quick here. All right. So we see this a little bit slower. So we see not a great first step. He's a gap stepper on this one. Now he's got to work that 1-2. His second step now should be working to that hip. Okay, we're close. If the offensive lineman's standing still, he's at that offensive lineman's hip. Now, him being a little bit shorter, he can play with leverage and jack that guy up at this point right now. Okay, so he's figuring out that he's kind of dead in the water at this point. So now what he does is transition to that counter with that arm under. Now that guard is leaning heavily on him, and what we should have done is probably a push-pull, but that's okay. Now we see that great lean. I love these interior guys that we have because they have that great natural lean, and they're going to lean on that big man. And we see his balance and agility where this big man is pressing down in his weight, and what we're able to do is he's still able to keep his feet and work through that. Okay, we have to work a little bit better to the quarterback, but you know what? That's not a terrible job. Gar's been around for a long time. He's learning too. So we see this inside move now. Boom. Okay. So typically he's coming bull all the time. So the guard is thinking he's going to bull. What he does is he gives him a bit of a hezzy, okay, to the gap. All of a sudden now, a great inside step. I'd like that step to be a little bit more vertical, a little bit too lateral in that step. I would have liked that step to be there probably. And now we want him to clear with this hand right here. Okay, does a pretty good job. He has to clear though with this hand, so it's a little bit tighter. Okay. Now he's off. Boom. He's going to get upfield. Pretty good job. Okay, here he is from an edge again against a young guy. Okay, this young guy is going to be good, man. I like him. Tough kid from Yorkton. But, you know, Garth's against him. Boom. We see that long arm. Okay, he's working a little bit of edge. Got that long arm. He's loaded up here to swat that young guy's hand away. Okay, so he swats it, but what he doesn't do is he doesn't work vertical through that swat. He kind of does that right there. Again, with that young dude's wrestling background, he just rips him down to the ground. But I like what Garth's trying to do in a different position for himself and working up the field. Bust his ass back. All right, now we got a guy we're excited to get back, Tanner Schmeckel, playing out in some edge. This is just going to show you the old-fashioned bull rush against one of the best offensive linemen in Canada. And hezzy, but he just puts his head down and just gets it. You know, he just gets it. He gets vertical up there. Boom, hands up, sits him. And we got to work with Tanner a little bit. But, you know, he's sure working hard, and he's so darn strong that we see that. Now, again, typically we're seeing here Tanner's bull. But again, what he does here is he comes to the game with a plan. He comes to the game with a plan, and all of a sudden, yikes, okay? We're going quick swim, and now you look where he's even lined up, okay? He's lined up zero. He's lined up over top of our center. Okay? Lined up over top of him. What he does is he works now straight ahead, waits for that center to lean a little bit, expecting that bull rush, and then gives him the quick swim over. Only thing we want to work on is that footwork with him, bringing that foot through, but that just shows you the ability for him to get there and get across. That's a pretty damn good job. Tanner, again, same thing, same idea. Quick swim, guys, just expect. Okay, now, again. All right. Now we're working with Matt Moore here, one of our rush ends. Again, I'm showing this purely for the spin. He's working up the field. Now we talk about the spin. So what we're trying to put into his toolbox is be able to do that spin back now. Okay, he's getting better at it. He's working, but that's something that you need to teach as a defensive line coach. If we have somebody that's going to continuously do this, and we try to beat it out of them, not physically and not mentally, we just try to talk him out of it. We just want him to stop spinning so much. But I tell you what, if we add to his repertoire with him being able to do that hezzy spin, that's going to help him get that much better. Okay. Now we see him again moving up the field. Again, we see his ability. Again, we're supposed to be playing games. We're coming right straight ahead, vertical. We see him get up, but again, he puts his feet down in the ground and he just bulls. Again, when somebody's going to step wide on you like that, open that gate as I talk about it, he gives him that two-step bull right to the cue. He's in good shape. All right, now we're getting to the game stuff. Well, I'm going. Any questions? All right, keep rolling. We don't want to see this. We want to see the end zone cut. All right, so now we're in our defense. Now we look at our defensive linemen, right? We're framed up a little bit. Again, Wachowski, we give him a little bit more freedom. More here, we have to sometimes tell him where to line up and have him move around a little bit better. But here he does a great job getting after the quarterback and really running that edge. So we see Matt now great out of his stance, the tackle standing up. Now he really dips that hip, rips through that arm because the tackle's significantly taller than him, and works to the quarterback. Now we see if the quarterback would have had his hand up to throw the ball, Matt would have been able to frame to that ball at that time. He's starting to do a little bit of getting that hand up, good on him. This is something we're working on hard. And now we see the quarterback feels it. He comes, he gets home, boom, we're in good shape. Great job. Now, we look on the inside, not such a great job by the big man. He gets washed out. Luckily we get that pressure from both sides and we're in good shape there. There we go. All right. Now, same thing here. We see a great get off. Possible pressure. Now, we talk about just pressuring, but taking that line of sight away from the quarterback. Now, we kind of get framed up on the end in the rush here. Our rush kind of jetsons, spikes inside, gets caught, doesn't do a great job. Gets tied up. We lose that single. We have a double on the other side. But as soon as he recognizes that he can't get to the ball, what does he do? He puts his hands up. He gets in that side of line of the quarterback, and then an incomplete pass. It wasn't a great ball, throwing it up high. Those are the things that we want. We want to get those hurries. This is an outstanding job of beating your man and getting home in the pass rush here. Okay. 98, 96, can't remember the number, 96. Great job. Now we see that, right? He's home. Where we run into problems here is our interior defensive lineman, our nose. Again, he gets washed out. We had him playing, he gets doubled. He's typically an end, not a nose. Gets doubled. Our other end slow off the ball. Our rush is slow off the ball. But he's still working to the quarterback. Notice as he goes too far up the field and then catches himself and starts working to the cue. Now our kill shot here comes from our end. Does a great job. Now you watch it from the start. He's lined up for success. He recognizes who he's going against. He knows potentially he may be able to beat him with speed. Now he gets off the ball. Boom. Goes to swipe, misses, goes arm under. Now the tackle wants to throw him down. He does a great job of keeping his leverage in his feet and gets home. Okay. Next thing that happens, ball's on the ground. Our rush end recognizes the ball's on the ground. And what does he do? He finds it and jumps on it, right? Being smart. There's the turnover we're talking about. That's what we need. Every time we get home. Okay. We need that to happen. That was a great job. Okay. Again, you're going to see from 96. He's going to get off the ball. Does a great job of pressuring the quarterback just with a good old-fashioned bull rush. Boom. Drives his ass right to the ground. Okay. Now, too bad he wouldn't have kept his feet. Tackle pulled him down with him, though. He keeps his feet. He gets home. He gets the sack. But again, our rush on the opposite side kind of gets washed a little bit wide. Does a great job on the swat. Boom. Swat. Now he's working down the line like that drill we were doing. When we're coming up and working down the line, same idea. So now he's working down the line. He's there to help clean it up. Not violent enough, though. Don't like the finish. We got to be a bit more violent on that finish. But again, doing what he's taught. So we see this again. Good pressure. This is a botched handoff. Still same thing. We have guys spiking inside. We're spiking inside and outside. Not a great job, but a great job by the linebacker coming through free. Okay. One of our best pass rushers, as Coach Lamer said, is Ryder Varga. He's outstanding, 56. Again, doesn't have to do much here. The tackle works out to the rush on that. But again, Ryder just snipes through, gets home, and he's in good shape. Now, what happens here as well is our nose tackle, okay, quick through, kind of a bit of a hezzy rip. But if he finishes quicker and recognizes what's going on, he's home. They're probably meeting at the queue, okay? They're meeting the ears of the queue right there. But what he does instead is he just kind of lags a little bit, okay? Slows down, doesn't know what happened. That running back kind of freezes him a bit. We want him to work vertically up the field and be able to attack the quarterback. And again, a good job by our end, of course, keeping that edge. All right. Now we see this here again, just pressure disrupting the cue, getting hands up, taking his vision away from him. Okay. Now we notice, right? Our hands are up. We're taking his sight away from him. That's the things that we have to do. If we're not going to get home, we're going to get doubled. We have to get hands up. We have to get messy in the line. We have to get messy. We have to be able to block out the sun, as I tell these guys sometimes. Get your hands up, press the pocket, force these errant throws. Again, no big gain. Not a big deal. That's what we want to happen. All right. I believe this is the last clip. This is just simple. Okay, this is a bit of a bust on the offensive line here. But okay, the big man, all he does is get there, gets his hands up in Dez's face, and disrupts the pass. Right? Dez doesn't want to wear one from 68. I wouldn't want to either. The man's huge. Okay, but again, just about causes an interception here. We probably should have had that, but just disrupting and getting your hands in their face is all we need to do sometimes. All right. That's pretty well it. I tried to get through some of it as quick as I could. Want to leave it open for some conversation, I guess. I love, like as I said, I love talking football, and I think if we can pass on some of our knowledge between each other, it's the best thing we do. All right, questions. There's my number again. There's the email, and I'm going to jump out of this, and we can so I can see you and we can chat.